So yeah, I can't follow up after that, so I'm just gonna continue with Sasuke's story. Um, Hope you guys enjoy it. I'm on chapter 1 now. Master Konohamaru, we came to visit you. The door to his hospital room flew open. The first to come, Karenin. I have no idea what that word is. Karenin was Uzumaki Boruto. He arrived empty-handed despite the custom of bringing flowers or a gift to an injured teacher in the hospital. Boruto, you're too loud. This is a hospital. Quiet. Uchiha Sarada chided her teammate as she followed him into the room, holding a bouquet of sakura blossoms to her chest. How are you How are you feeling, Master Konohamaru? Mitsuki was the last to enter, carrying a paper bag and looking relaxed as ever. It was only his first day in the hospital, but Konohamaru was bored senseless already. He very nearly, carelessly smiled at the arrival of his beloved students, but managed to suppress the grin at the last second. Whoa, he said coolly, careful to maintain his strict demeanor before his pupils. What happened to your mission? No missions today. So we were up bright and early, making it happen. Happen? He means this. Mitsuki pulled up a square package out of the paper bag. The name printed on the wrapping was that of the most popular traditional sweet shop in the village. Their strawberry daifuku cakes were particularly popular. The shop only made 400 a day, so they were impossible to get a hold of unless you were in line before the shop opened. Strawberry daifuku? We all lined up together, Sarada sang happily, as she arranged the sakura branches in a vase. Boruto took the box from Mitsuki and ripped open the wrapping. Inside the wooden box, the strawberry daifuku sat neatly, lined up, wrapped in washi paper. You three lined up this morning for my sake? Konohamaru felt something warm rise in his chest. I'll make some tea, Mitsuki said. Where's the kitchenette area? Oh, it's okay, I'll do it. Konohamaru held the boy back and grabbed the cane at the edge of the bed. It's too depressing to be in here all the time. I'm glad to get out of this room. As he stepped out of his hospital room, his students pulled out the round chairs stacked in one corner and sat down. I can't believe a ninja like Master Konoha would be hurt badly enough to have him stay in the hospital. Sarada sighed. Mitsuki nodded. It's fortunate that none of the passengers were injured, though. Sarada turned on the TV. On the screen, a girl with golden hair was in the middle of an interview for the mid-morning news. Who's that? Sarada frowned. Himeno Lily. You don't know her? Berta's eyes grew wide. I don't really watch TV. Who is she? Some kind of TV personality? An idol. She's really popular right now. On TV all the time. As he spoke, Boruto picked up a strawberry daifuku and peeled the paper away. As if led by his example, Mitsuki and Sarada also reached out for a small cake. That girl's an idol? Sarada gazed absently at the TV as she unwrapped her daifuku. The girl on the screen was definitely cute. She wore white boots and a mini dress with far more frills and ribbons than could ever be functional. Her golden hair had a gentle wave and reached down to her shoulders. Although she was probably at least 15, she spoke in a deliberately cute, innocent way which made her seem that much younger. An idol? I don't really care about that stuff. Still, I wonder what kind of songs she sings. Thoughts drifting, Sarada took a bite of the daifuku and then jumped up as though she'd gotten an electric shock. What is this? It's so good. It really is, Mitsuki agreed. It's great. But I like the zenzai my mom makes way better, Boruto said cheekily. even as he reached out for a second daifuku. Ah, the strawberry daifuku. Amazing. Wow, amazing. The delicious flavor sent Sada into a reverie, and as she sunk her teeth into the small cake, she was lost in bliss for a moment. She thought she should wait until Konohamaru came back to have another one, but 2 seconds later she reconsidered and reached out again. Music began to spill from the TV. Apparently, Lily was debuting her new song, Marshmallow Heart. Sarada looked at the song title displayed on the screen and felt a slight pain in her head. Illuminated by colorful lights, Lily twisted her hips as she began to sing with her lips. Marshmallow, marshmallow, marshmallow. Have a marshmallow, come on, come on. Go, go, go to hell, an angel. What even is this? Sarada cried out, unable to stand it any longer. Sarada, shut up, Boruto turned around, looking annoyed. This is a hospital, you gotta be quiet. These lyrics don't bother you at all, like hell and angel, or have a marshmallow? Come on, come on. They don't even mean anything. I don't care about the lyrics, he replied, finishing off his daifuku in a single bite. He was more interested in eating than the song. I mean, it's not like I especially care or anything, Sarada protested, but it's like I can't help but get upset when they're actually putting these ridiculous lyrics on TV. She shot an angry glance at the screen. Lily was quite passionate in her performance as she crooned the nonsensical marshmallow puffy puff, puff puff puffa. Ah, it's too much. I can't listen to this anymore. Sarada brought her fist down on the remote control and the TV turned black. I guess I thought it was an interesting song, though. Mitsuki started to hum the melody. I don't get boys. Still, this daifuku really is delicious, she nibbled at the strawberry daifuku. While the three of them chatted until Konohamaru returned. He leaned on his cane, deftly carrying a tray of teacups in one hand. You all just went ahead and ate without me. Konohamaru laughed and handed each of his students a cup of tea. You find out anything about the guys who attacked the Thunder Train? Boruto asked, sipping his tea. Like the reason for the bombing? They committed multiple crimes, yeah. Still nothing worthwhile, Konohamaru replied. About the only clue we have is that they were wearing purple outfits. Also, they had excessively large holes in their ears. Holes? Mitsuki asked dubiously. Do you mean like piercings? Mm-hmm. According to the medical team that examined the bodies, they each had 5 piercings in their ears, running from their ear lobes up into the cartilage. Is that so? Is that to show they're part of a group, like our headbands? Can't say, their team leader shrugged. This is just the impression I got from fighting them. But I don't think they were all that threatening in terms of fighting power, other than their boss. They were about at the tuning level. The tricky part about these guys was that they didn't hesitate to sacrifice themselves. Sarada guessed. Exactly, Konohamaru nodded solemnly. They chose death with their comrades over being caught and forced to give information. Trying to take guys like that alive is tough, way more so than just killing them. It bugs me that they went out of their way to use an actual bomb when they could have just used ninjutsu, Boruto remarked. If this mysterious group objective was an indiscriminate attack on villagers, there could be a serious damage ahead if they didn't figure out some kind of countermeasure soon. If there was a bombing in the new city in the middle of the day, when it was thronged with people, there just wasn't enough information available to them. They couldn't know how urgent the situation was. At a loss for words, all 4 fell silent. The air in the hospital room was still. Maybe I'll have a strawberry daifuku, Konohamaru said, brightly. Trying to lift their spirits again, he lifted the lid, but inside, the daifuku box was empty. What? Stunned, he checked the box. He checked the box 4 more times, but no matter how many times he looked, There was nothing in there. You. You ate my noodles. What happened to the Daifuku? A tremor bleeding into his voice, he looked at his students. I only had two, Mitsuki asserted. I only had three, Sarada said. I only had four. Okay, Boruto noted casually. That adds up perfectly then, doesn't it? Konohamaru shot daggers at them with his piercing gaze. There were only 9 of them. Come on. Well, Sarada did feel guilty, but the Daifuku really were delicious, so she didn't actually regret eating them. We'll go get some more. No thanks. If you got the time for that, you should be training. Although Konohamaru tried to put on a brave face, his shoulders were slumped. When will you be getting out of the hospital, Master? Mitsuki said, changing the subject. The thing about that, Konohamaru's face suddenly shifted and stiffened, and his eyes dropped to cast on his right ankle. The injury itself was no big deal, but I guess the bomb was rigged with a poison that induces a light paralysis. I have to stay here until the antidote does its work. 3 weeks. 3 weeks, Sarada replied, concerned. What's gonna happen to our team in the meantime? Boruto asked. Right, about that. Konohamaru glanced toward the door and smiled. I've got a substitute taking over for me. A substitute? Mitsuki asked. Don't worry. Konohamaru gave them a meaningful look. He's pretty strong. Well, that might be an understatement. He's scary strong. For real? Boruto clenched his hands in excitement. I'm into it. So who is this substitute? Sarada asked, impatient with the little show Konohamaru was putting on. A cool, low voice carried from one of the ends of the room, clear as crystal. Me. The students knew who it was, even before they turned to the door to see Sasuke. His face as expressionless as usual. No way. Sarada cried out. Dad? Our master? She was over the moon, but quickly pulled herself back together. She cleared her throat. So you're getting to be our master now, Dad? He nodded. It turns out I have to stay in the village for a while. Seriously, alright. Boruto threw his arms up in the air with a grin that nearly split his face in two. His eyes glittered, and he didn't so much as try to hide his delight. Next to him, Mitsuki smiled faintly, his face full of anticipation. Old man Sasuke is gonna teach me ninjutsu? Boruto couldn't hold or contain his excitement. His step had a lively bounce as he made his way to the part of the forest outside, the village that had been designated as the training ground. He wanted to be the ninja, just like Sasuke someday, working to support the Hokage. The older ninja was his dream personified, and now he was going to be the team's master. There was no way Boruto was going to let and be able to keep his cool about the whole thing. Boruto had received training from Sasuke before. It had only been for a short time, but he learned a lot. The period of training was even the reason why he endured, and he ended up rethinking his relationship with his father. Boruto treasured the time he'd spent with Sasuke. Sorry. I've gone on a bunch of missions since then, and I mean, I have grown a little. I'm definitely going to show that old man Sasuke how strong I've gotten. This first day of training was going to be the stuff of his dreams. What? Kukurzushk. Boruto stared, speechless, as Sasuke's kunai shot forward, systematically mowing down the trees of the forest before reducing the cliff, rising up in the distance to rubble. A kunai can produce that much power? Mitsuki murmured. That really is amazing, Sarada said. Just how is it, The cliff face slid off from the rest of the rock, kicking up a cloud of dust. All that from one kunai. How is that possible? Boruto was baffled. Sasuke hadn't simply thrown the kunai. He netted his chakra with the kunai on one finger, and then for an instant released an electrical current. Boruto didn't really understand the mechanism, but in the blink of an eye, the kunai had flown off and shattered the distant cliff face. Sasuke lowered his arm, looking cool and composed, and turned toward his students. Maybe you're not ready to learn this technique, however. A silent rebuttal rose up in all of their hearts. So why'd you show it to us? Calmly, Sasuke pulled a handful of small dice from his leather bag. He distributed 2, each to Boruto and his comrades. Your first task, use ninjutsu to get doubles with these dice. You must not touch the dice. All 3 looked up at one other, doubtfully. There are any number of ways, Sasuke said, tossing 2 dice into the air. He then pulled 2 shuriken out of his bag and flung them after the dice. The shuriken flew through the air and grazed the corner of the 2 falling dice, knocking them down onto the grass. Spinning blades then arched around to boomerang back to Sasuke's hand. The members of Team 7 crouched down and checked the faces of the dice. 2 6s. Wow, Boruto said, eyes round. Mitsuki also stared at the matched pair, while Sarada turned a smarmy smile on 2 of them. Not that it's any surprise, Boruto thought, but old man Sasuke really is super amazing. Thus, Boruto and the members of Team 7 applied themselves to the task of aligning the dice. With their dice set up on stumps and rocks, they each considered the best way to actually move the tiny cubes, given their own particular talents and personalities. I'm going with shuriken, Sarada decided. She gently tossed a shuriken toward a dice on the stump. Bam! The blade slammed into the stump, missing the dice by a few centimeters. The air kicked up by the impact caused the dice to wobble, but not so much that either one rolled over. She decided she was aiming too wide and needed to tighten up a bit. This time the shuriken hit the dice and split them each in 2. She took a closer look and found that dice were actually sugar cubes marked with candy dots. They weighed almost nothing and would crumble at the slightest shock. She was going to have a lot more. She was going to have to move them with just the right amount of force, not too much, not too little, or she'd never be able to roll doubles. Mitsuki had decided to use wind style and move the dice with a light breeze. He meant to nudge the sugar cubes with a gentle puff of air, but instead the dice shot off into the forest. I'm strong with Rasengan, Boruto decided to make use of the flow of the Rasengan chakra to set his dice rolling. First he created a small Rasengan in the palm of his hand. Even the slight pressure from this sent his dice flying, even though he hadn't so much as touched them yet. In order to get the dice to roll and the 2 faces to line up, he would have to hit both sugar cubes at the same time, hard enough to move them, but not so hard that he crushed them or sent them shooting off into space. It seemed like an underwhelming and dull task, but it demanded incredibly fine control. They broke again. Damn it, I'm totally gonna do this. The 3 young ninja threw themselves into their training, complaining loudly all the while, as Sasuke stood back and watched them. He couldn't help remembering his own training, back when he was still a genin. Those long days alongside Naruto and Sakura under Kakashi's tutelage. He'd only been attached to Team 7 briefly, and he'd wanted to become a ninja for different reasons from the rest of them. Even so, that brief period had laid deep roots inside of Sasuke, roots that held fast even now. With a wry smile, he realized he was, of all things, waxing nostalgic, which was very unlike him. At the same time, however, he keenly felt how much the world, and with it the shinobi way of fighting, had changed since then. Gone was the turbulent era of war and bloodshed. In vain. A time that had demanded brute strength of ninja and nothing else. Maintaining peace required not military might, but rather a diplomacy between a stable society and other countries. Necessary now was not simply a battle-ready ninja, but one who could also react with clever statesmanship to whatever the situation demanded. Though Naruto's efforts, the village of Konohagakure had changed, but the era of war at an end and trade thriving. The various countries had begun to share their progress and discoveries with each other, leading to the remarkable modernization in the Land of Fire. Citizens could now go about their lives without worrying about their future or cowering in fear. As the villagers of Konoha rejoiced in peace, their memories of the world at war gradually faded, and they had long forgotten that one man had alone borne the burden of a crime and struck out of his own clan for the sake of the village peace. Sasuke had come to know that feeling. It was his best way. He remembered his brother. That was enough. There was no need for a new generation to don mourning clothes as well. And as he watched Sarada, Mitsuki, and Boruto, he felt he could perhaps understand what had been going on in his brother's mind when he'd sacrificed himself for the sake of the village. The new generation of children had been nourished on teachings of the village of Konohagakure. Sasuke felt a thrill of satisfaction at the idea that everything his brother had fought for to keep safe was now being passed along to the younger citizens of the village. It made him believe that the long, long days and nights of war hadn't been in vain. Education. Perhaps this was the most critical element in safeguarding their village and the country itself. Old man Sasuke, you're the master. Give us a hint here. Sasuke abruptly lifted his face to meet the pair of carefree blue eyes, even bluer than the ones he was used to. What's wrong, Boruto? We tried with Sengon and Shuriken and all kinds of stuff, but nothing's working. You gotta tell us how you did that with the Shuriken. A hint? Sasuke took a Shuriken in one hand and found himself at a loss for words. He performed the movement unconsciously, guided by his senses the same as breathing. The whole thing was extremely difficult to describe. You hold it like this and throw it. That doesn't tell us anything at all. Boruto stamped out his feet in frustration. How do you adjust the force? A snap of the wrist, or is it in your fingers? Mitsuki asked. Sasuke stared at the palm of his own hand and thought for a moment. There probably was a hint he could give them, a trick to the whole process, but he only understood it intuitively. He struggled to teach it. The way is to adjust is, he leaned forward, establish a target and throw it like this. Even he knew that this told them absolutely nothing. As the children sighed in perfect unison, Sasuke smiled wearily at himself. I'm not suited to teaching. Kakashi had been great with words, while Sasuke simply acted on instinct that defied explanation. Kakashi communicated all of his knowledge and experience to the next generation in an easygoing manner. I've got a long way to go, Master, Sasuke thought. In the end, Boruto was able to get doubles with the dice despite practicing until sun went down. He had annihilated the powerful Momoshiki with his Rasengan, and yet he couldn't make a single sugar cube roll the way he wanted it. It was humiliating. Even after he got home, all he could think of was the dice training. Sitting in the bath, he remembered the day's practice and spread out his hands beneath the water. The droplets falling from the wet ceiling broke the surface above his palms. Just a tiny drop could cause a ripple on the water's surface. Maybe it wasn't impossible to hit the sugar cube with chakra without crashing it. Or crushing it. I can't get psyched up now. Boruto shook his head, reprimanding himself. I only just started practicing. Too early to get bummed out now. I'm old man Sasuke's student after all. He held his wet hands in front of his eyes, gentle enough not to break the sugar cubes. He'd only intended to do some visualization training, but he carelessly netted his chakra for real, and the water in the tub began to swirl into a vortex. Boruto? His mother, Hinata popped her head and immediately, "You can't go netting chakra there. You'll break the tub." "Don't peep in the bath, Mom. You gotta stop using the Byakugan in the house." She giggled. "I didn't mean to. I just felt the presence of chakra." By the time he got out of the bath, Himawari was watching a music show in the living room. On the screen, Himeno Lily was singing and dancing beneath colorful spotlights. Drops of sweat were flying off her. "Have a marshmallow, come on, come on." Himawari hummed along with Lily, her eyes glued to the screen. "Himawari, you look like Himeno Lily," Boruto asked. "Oh, Himawari, you like Himeno Lily?" Boruto asked. "Yeah," Himawari nodded. "She's so cute and she's a really good singer and dancer." "Is she?" Boruto turned back to the screen, which was filled with a close-up of Lily's face. He didn't really get how she was cute, but he did think of her that her eyes were a pretty color. Her deep purple irises were bright and clear, almost like the color at the end of a rainbow. "Go, go, go to hell and angel. Go, go, go to violet moon." Hearing them again now, he had to admit Sarada was right. The lyrics were weird. The training with the dice continued the following day. Sarada's pain cry echoed through the forest. The faces of the dice beside the Shuriken plunged into the tree stump. Read 3 and 4, almost doubles. I was so close. She slumped to her knees. "I'm totally gonna be the first one to make it happen." Boruto started boasting, lost in the moment. Then, his eyes widened in despair. He'd pushed too hard with the flow of chakra and split both the dice in two. "Maybe I'm closest to be the first one to do it," Mitsuki said with a laugh as he wove his signs to activate his wind style. After watching his students desperately try everything for a while, Sasuke called out to them. "Today I'm adding something extra to the training schedule." "Huh?" Boruto raised an eyebrow. "What?" "Lorentz gun." "What?" Both eyebrows now raised, he followed Sasuke as he led them to the top of a cliff. The front of the rock face he'd seen in the distance yesterday had been carved away by Sasuke's kunai and the ensuing of a landslide. This technique is an application of lightning style. Sasuke pulled out a brown kunai, like the one he used before, as his students bobbed their heads up and down. "Hey, Dad," Sarada asked, "why is that kunai kinda red?" "It's copper. It conducts electricity well." Sasuke readied the weapon in his hand. "With the traditional lightning style attack, you hit your opponent with a powerful voltage to cause damage. Boruto, your purple lightning is like that, but this technique is fundamentally different. It makes use of the fact that powerful electrical currents generate magnetic fields, a principle the scientific ninja team discovered recently. They're calling it electromagnetic induction." Boruto scoffed at the word. "Scientific ninja team?" Sasuke turned toward the rock face in the distance and stretched out one arm, balancing the kunai on his middle finger. "Position the weapon in the direction of your target and set 2 bolts of electricity on either side." Electricity crackled upward from his palm. "Throw the copper kunai so that it passes between the 2 currents." He tossed the kunai. Boom! The instant the bolts on either side touched it, the kunai shot forward, fast enough that it shattered the sound barrier. With a thunderous boom, it mowed down the trees of the forest and crashed into a rock face. This technique generated a force that was a different level from anything a bare hand could manage. Boruto doubted that the Hokage himself could throw a kunai faster. Sasuke turned back to his students, stunned. "First, try splitting the basic lightning style attack into 2 bolts of current. You want to generate a current in each hand at the same time." "Okay," Sarada and Mitsuki shouted in perfect unison. Only Boruto stayed silent, looking glum as he glanced at the dust cloud that had enveloped the rock face. Sasuke was not blind to Boruto's reaction, but he continued the lesson, pulling copper kunai out of his bag for each of his students. Copper kunai are prone to rusting, so polish them regularly with vinegar. They're not as powerful when they're rusty. This is very interesting, Mitsuki said. As he accepted the kunai, a normal steel kunai is first heated in fire and then coated with a blackening film to protect it from rust. And yet a copper kunai is the opposite. You polish it in vinegar so that it doesn't rust. You know your stuff, Sasuke looked at Mitsuki, impressed. Master Konohamaru taught us all about it. I knew that too, Sarada immediately staked her claim. Rather than chiming in himself, Boruto stared at a bird in the sky. What's wrong? Sasuke asked when Boruto didn't move to take the kunai from him. I'm gonna practice moving the dice some more, he replied dully and returned to the forest. Before he knew it, the western sky had already taken a faint red hue. He hadn't managed to roll the dice or doubles even once. I'm definitely gonna make it happen this time. Boruto held the dice in his hands as he netted his chakra. The dice turned twice and then stopped, a 3 each face. I did it! The thrill of victory was fleeting. A breath later, the die on the right slowly tumbled one more time to display a 1. Come on! Boruto kicked his legs out and flapped back. He'd been so close, which made it all the more vexing. Damn it. I guess Sarata and Mitsuki are practicing that lightning style technique right about now. Electromagnetic, whatever it is. Boruto leaped to his feet, grabbed the dice, and flung them away, annoyed. Don't get so worked up. The voice came from above his head. When he lifted his face, he saw Sasuke looking down on him. I wasn't. It's not like that. Knowing how dejected he sounded, Boruto quickly averted his eyes upward. A crow glided through the air above them. Sasuke sat down on the stump instead of looking at Boruto. He also directed his gaze upwards towards the sky. Boruto, you hate science? Why you think that? Just a hunch. Dyed orange, the sky seemed almost on fire, and the wind coming at them was brisk. Even so, it was a peaceful sunset. The grass swayed in the breeze, and their long shadows rippled in the slight waves. It's not that I hate it, it's just... Boruto began to speak, slowly, feeling guilty somehow. It's just like, all that stuff about making it last with blackening and the Lorentz gun and all that, relying on, science is like, so un-ninja-like. I mean, it's not very cool. You don't think so? Yeah, I don't actually like science. Rolling clouds blocked the setting sun, casting shadows on Boruto and Sasuke until the gentle breeze slowly brushed them away. If you know science, you can use ninjutsu even more effectively. Sasuke watched the bird returning to its nest as he spoke. Science and ninjutsu aren't in opposition. They grow from the same roots. Boruto lowered his eyes and glared at the ground. I know. He was thinking about a bitter memory from his Chunin exams when he had secretly used a forbidden scientific ninja tool and was disqualified after being discovered by none other than his own father in his head. He knew science was definitely not a bad thing, just as Sasuke said, but his irrational heart rejected the whole idea out of hand. Just hearing science brought back his guilt over the exams. Boruto, you're an excellent ninja, Sasuke said. You've been blessed with an excellent education, and you've got the talent and determination to go with it. If the ninja who have died protecting the village could see you, I'm sure they would be proud of you. As if, Boruto spat. He was certain Sasuke was just being nice, which only made him feel even more pathetic. All those generations of ninja, they'd laugh at me, living this easy life, science everywhere. Of course they wouldn't. This kind of peace, this progress, was exactly what the Warring Era ninja dreamed of while they spent those long hours studying and honing their skills. He pulled a kunai from out of his pocket, protected from rusting. It emitted a dull light. By burnishing the kunai, You keep it from corroding. A special power causes it to accelerate when you throw it between two bolts of electricity. Just to obtain this meager knowledge, so many of our predecessors made countless observations, did endless analysis. The scientific ninja tools are the grand sum of this accumulation of knowledge. True, it wasn't appropriate for you to use one in the tuning exams, but they can be a powerful weapon in battle, a force to protect a village even. The clouds slid along above them, and Sasuke and Boruto once more bathed in the light of a setting sun. Sasuke's normally black hair and eyes shone a strange orange. Many people spent many years building up this knowledge base. And Boruto, it's your generation on the front lines now. And Boruto, it's your generation on the front lines now. Sasuke suddenly looked at him, and their eyes met. When Boruto averted his gaze, Sasuke's face softened. I know you hate science. I must be boring you. Well, you sure are talking an awful lot, old man Sasuke. Not as much as your father. Boruto looked off at where he'd thrown the dice into the bushes earlier. A line of ants now stretched out from the shattered sugar cubes. He wanted to live up to Sasuke's expectations, so much so that it hurt, which was exactly why he was so frustrated that he couldn't just get past this visceral hatred of science. It will be dark soon. We'll head back to the village. Sasuke stood up and started walking toward the cliff where Sarada and Mitsuki were training. Boruto followed him without a word. That night, Mitsuki stood alone on the branch of a massive tree, training on his own with the Lawrence gun. He was able to generate the lightning-style bolts, but they scattered the instant they came into contact with the air. Left to its own devices, an electric current would melt away into nothing. Holding one in the form of a bolt took real skill. The skill was quite clear. The half-moon shining sharply above the treetop looked like it was floating right in his nose. Crackle, crackle. Mitsuki concentrated on the image of a pillar, centering his electric current as he practiced generating the lightning style. That's a pretty interesting bit of training, huh? The sudden voice from behind interrupted his focus. He looked back to find Orochimaru standing on the branch above him. A branch above his, looking down at him. What? Do you have anything better to do? I was taking a walk, Orochimaru chuckled. The moon was so beautiful. Mitsuki raised an eyebrow. And you came all the way here? From what I saw, it looks like you're just trying to control the flow of lightning style. But to what end? Eager to get back to his training, Mitsuki was being non-committal in his responses. But Orochimaru kept talking. Apparently he didn't really have anything better to do. By controlling the flow... By controlling the flow of lightning style, you can use a magnetic field to accelerate objects. I see, Orochimaru nodded. Electromagnetic induction. Mitsuki ignored him and focused his mind on the palm of his hand. He envisioned a straight line as he tried to pull in the current that was so intent on scattering the electricity in his hand. It crackled and stretched out as far as he could see, wrapped in plasma. I did it. The instant the thought crossed his mind, the current pumped with a loud crack. Ugh! Too excited by his apparent success, he accidentally relaxed his mind. Not too shabby, Orochimaru nodded with satisfaction. Well, you are my son after all. It's only natural you'd be able to make this much of use. I still have a long way to go. I can't maintain the form. I need time to shape the electricity how I want it. It won't be in an instant like Sasuke. What? The color of Orochimaru's eyes abruptly changed. Mitsuki, is Sasuke training you? Didn't I mention that? Master Konoha was in the hospital, so Sasuke's filming. The Sasuke, Orochimaru muttered. Perhaps I will come watch your training tomorrow. Don't you dare. With the dice and the Lawrence gun and everything else, Sasuke's training covered a lot of ground. He subjected them to all kinds of things, from drilling, the basics, to mock battles. By the 5th day of training, the students were more or less able to do doubles with their dice. Perhaps not 9 times out of 10, but at least once or twice. Sarah and Mitsuki were also drawn steadily closer to the mastering of the Lorentz gun. Boruto still continued to avoid science despite knowing that having science and a natural order on his side was going to be even more important as a ninja in this era. As long as he shied away from it, he did never really fall behind the other ninja. And he did want to overcome his aversion to science, but he couldn't do anything about how he felt. He knew Sasuke was worried about how stubbornly he turned his back to science, as he himself was. One morning, at the beginning of their 2nd week of training, Sasuke arrived 30 minutes after their usual start time. They were a lot more comfortable with the fire control, huh? He called when he saw his students already facing their sugary cube dice, practicing on their own. Keep practicing this every day until you succeed every single time. Mitsuki, Sarada, don't forget your Lorentz gun training. Also, basic drills and mock battles every day. If you want to incorporate anything else in your training, talk it over and decide from there. What's up, old man Sasuke? Boruto turned toward their teacher. Sounds like you're going somewhere. A mission came in, Sasuke replied. I'm setting out now. What? Sarada cried, her eyes wide. You're leaving the village? To do an emergency survey. I'll be back in a week. That's pretty sudden, Boruto frowned. Hey, Dad? Sarada glared up at Sasuke without blinking. Did you tell Mom? Does she know you're going away? Really? She sounded doubtful. When did you tell her? I talked plenty with Sakura after you've gone to bed. Sasuke smiled relief, so don't worry. Really? Details of Sasuke's mission were as always top secret, and although Boruto pestered him, their teacher would tell them absolutely nothing. When Sasuke left on his mission through the village gates, they watched until they could no longer see him. They went to get lunch at the Ichiraku Ramen. After filling their stomachs, they pushed past the curtains in the doorway and returned to their training area. Compared to the relaxed atmosphere of the old town, the new town and all its impressive new developments were busy day and night. Street lamps shone down on the newly laid roads where boutiques with big show windows stood along side cafes with open patios. A clerk called out the day's specials in front of the traditional sweet shop. And in the center of the crossroads, a cat mascot was handing out some kind of pamphlet. So like this, and Mitsu I ate with Chocho was super good. Chocho's a big old rice bowl herself, though. It's cannibalism. She's a cannibal. I don't know if I'd put it like that. And they were walking along, lost in conversation, when a pamphlet was thrust before him. Boruto reflexively reached to take it, and a giant ball of flesh grabbed hold of his hand. Lifting his face in surprise, he stared up at the cat mascot. The cat brought its face in close to Boruto's ear. In a low voice, it said, "You 3 ninja, right?" Yeah, but no, Boruto stammered. What's with you? I have a favor to ask, the cat mascot asked, and dragged Boruto by his hand back into the alley. Sarada and Mitsuki hurried after them. The narrow alley was damp and deserted of people anyway. A real cat curled up on top of the oil drum fled, looked annoyed. The cat mascot turned meekly back to the 3 ninja. The truth is, I'm a little bit famous. But you're a cat. Someone's trying to kill me. But you're a cat. I want you to protect me. I can pay. But you're a cat. The 3 ninja looked at one another doubtfully. Maybe we should go to the hospital first, Mitsuki said as smoothly as possible. The cat stomped on the ground. I really am in trouble. She popped off her costume's head. Bright wavy golden hair came tumbling out. The ninja gaped, three jaws dropping at once. Please don't let me die in a place like this, pleaded Himeno Lily. That was the end of chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed it.